What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe of Fight Podcast. I'm your host, SERG VICENTE, and this is episode 303 of the show. Today, as you see, I'm not by myself. We have some guests with us. We're going to have a good time. I am joined by, as always on Wednesday, my brother, the Guru. B-Cam, what it do, man?
Thank you for having me every single Wednesday. You know, we got a lot to talk about.
Lots to talk about. And joining me, I'm happy we can get this man in here today with some solid Wi-Fi all the way from Hawaii. My brother, Matty Fox. Matty, what it do, man?
Oh, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Well, here, let me get you guys right here so we can actually see each other. There it is. So you guys aren't off on the side of the screen. It is a beautiful day. Like I said, we have so much to talk about. There was a lot of fight action and stuff. But before we go ahead and get into it, yo, the Bucks fucking did it. I can't believe it. The Bucks went out there and won the title. I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. I thought Phoenix was gonna wash these dudes, and the Bucks. Giannis went out there on some Shaq shit, put 50 on them. And what did y'all think about this series in general?
But when did he start hitting free throws?
Fam, he used 89% last game. 89%.
Bro, he literally went from Shaq to Steph Curry in the same playoffs.
Rick Barry. He's Rick Barry in there.
Where did they do that at? Like, he just was not making free throws. And I was so confused. Like, bro, you're the star player. You got to be making free throws. And this man just like, okay, I'm going to make every single free throw. I feel bad for CP3. Not really.
I do feel bad for CP3. I thought this was his year. I thought everything was fucking paved out for him. And the shit didn't happen. But you know what? I've given Giannis a lot of flack over the last little bit. He proved some shit to me, man. He grown man in that series. He willed his way to win. And there's no excuses. He earned this one this year. Salute to him. I'm happy for my boy PJ Tucker, the dude with the illest shoe game in the entire game. Loved it, man. It was great to watch. Anything else to that game that y'all want to just even touch on? Just give them Milwaukee, just a little Midwest love.
Shouts to them, man. It was. I thought I wrote them off 0-2. I wrote them off. I was like, this is over. Like, the Suns were looking real good, and they came back, man. I mean, he's one of the best 5 players in the game. So,
absolutely.
Easy.
I gotta give him that.
I think despite the lack of rest for the players and the injuries that we saw in the NBA over the course of the year, like,
I didn't want to bring that up. I wasn't even trying to.
This is what they needed, bro. This is what the NBA needed.
People love the fact that it was so unexpected. You had no idea what was going to happen in any of the series. We thought the Suns were going to win. We got a Bucks win. We thought the Brooklyn was going to win. You know, I mean,
it's real.
We at the beginning of the playoffs, at the second round, at the third round, in the conference semifinals, you would not have said the Bucks were going to win. To see it happen like that and just not know what to do from game to game, I think that was really cool for the first time in a while.
No, I think the entire playoffs, man. NBA showed out, and the thing is, there's so much parity in the NBA now. It shows itself why it is the second most fun sport to watch. Fuck that shit. Let's talk about fights. All right, going into it, gentlemen. We are gonna go ahead and start with the biggest boxing news because it is Wednesday. I have the Guru here. We'll kick it off with a little bit of boxing. Charlo, COSTANO put on a hell of a fight this past weekend. Go to a split draw. B, I'm going to start with you. Watching this fight, it was to unify the titles. Do you think it deserved a draw?
Yes. I'm a little bit biased because I do like Jermell Charlo, but a draw is the best that I could have seen for Jermell Charlo. I definitely saw either a draw or a COSTANO win. What we ended up with is a high-level battle, and that's what you want for all of the belts. And we thought we were going to get an undisputed champ. We absolutely did, but it was a back-and-forth fight. No fighter really got to execute their game plan, but no fighter didn't get to execute their game plan. What you're going to see on Twitter and everywhere else is that, hey, COSTANO got robbed. There was a terrible scorecard, but COSTANO didn't get robbed. What ended up happening was the rounds that he won were just a lot louder than the rounds that Charlo won. However, a draw was definitely justified. We're going to get a rematch, and who's mad about that?
Hey, man, I think that's a great point. I have to say this. I wish I had the clip. I do wish I had the clip teed up for you guys because, my man over here, the guru, picked literally you picked that fight.
I was just listening to that on the way home. He called it. You called it, fam. That was Charlo had the power, but he was inactive. And I thought I must admit I only came in at the 6th round. But even like 6, 7, 8, I was like literally yelling at the TV, like throw. And then thank God his corner came in and was like, hey, you're losing this fight. If you don't knock him out, you're gonna lose. Like, thank God. But I'm like, I'm not the boxing guy. That's you, Cam. But I don't know how you can win a fight when you don't throw punches. Like, I don't really think that's possible. So I don't know whether it was like a mental thing, the pressure from being home, or what. But I'm glad that he came on in the end. Like the last couple of rounds, he really showed the power. He was pushing him back. Like you could tell that he was trying to go for the knockout, and homie had a good chin. But there was those middle rounds, I was like, it looked rough.
Yeah, you know what? I do have to give Charlo credit. Because I mean, B, you said it best. It's either one or two things. It's either draw or Castaño wins, right? But in watching it, I have to give Charlo so much props because he definitely showed the grit of a champion. The way he was able to go out there and knowing he needed something, those last rounds to really finally start coming on, to me shows a lot. So I love that I was able to see that, but I just want to see more of it. And the thing I will say about this fight, if they do have a rematch, which they absolutely should, I hope we don't get all this bullshit, mandatory this and mandatory that. I hope that doesn't happen because we all know it could happen. Right, exactly. So that all could happen. But if we get this fight again, I think if anybody has more room to get better from, is Charlo. Charlo could adapt more. I think that was the A+ effort from Castaño, and I think that Charlo can actually fight better. So we'll see what happens when it goes. Go ahead, bro. Yeah.
So, Serge, let me ask you, where is it that you see Charlo can improve? And I have my own view on that, but curious what you see.
I want him to see have more of an active jab. There's no reason why Charlo didn't use his jab in this fight. If he was able to actually throw his jab and disrupt Castaño's timing, especially when he starts trying to come on towards the end of the rounds, exactly, he would have been able to actually slow him up, and then he would have been able to set up his big shots. And when he does that, which he did a little bit more in the second Harrison fight, he was able to catch him with a jab and then pull something out so that he can actually use that big counter. He didn't do that. He was kind of just looking for the big shot this fight, as opposed to where he's able to kind of jab and slip so he can actually throw a big overhand right over the top. He didn't do that this time around.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. And I think the easy way to go here is activity. But I saw a huge lack of body punching. And when he did go to the body, Castaño didn't seem to like it. It's a lot of power going down low.
It looks really uncomfortable.
You have a guy coming forward. You can either A, hit him with that Floyd Mayweather jab to the body, or when you're inside with him, the body doesn't move. Tax him to the body, make sure he gets more tired later in the fight so you can come on a little bit more with that power. There were just things missing from his performance, and he just wasn't really listening to his corner, which was a bit odd at times. But he got the draw. We will likely get a rematch, so looking forward to that whenever it happens, hopefully this year.
I think, the good point about what you're saying, B, is like it was a step up. Right, it was an undisputed title fight, and so for him to come out of it not having lost, getting the experience, the extra pressure of the hometown, like hopefully learning a lesson from his performance, then I think he's gonna come back and wash this guy. Like if he makes the correct changes, I think that he can come back and wash him, and it's like it's not a loss, but it was a great experience to move him forward.
Yo, what do you guys think of Terrence Crawford going out there and saying that, essentially you got to do better. This is why you're not top 10 pound for pound. How do you feel about it? Is that fair or foul? What do you guys think?
So, I mean, go ahead, Matt.
I mean, has he fought for an undisputed championship?
Yeah, he won. He won it at 140.
Yes.
Okay. At the other weight class though, and then he moved up, and then now he's languishing in the doldrums, right? So, I mean. Whatever you want to say about the pound for pound conversation, like whatever, that's fine. But like, I think the Charlos have consistently showed that they're willing to take the fights that other people don't want to take. They're willing to step up to that level, and then they don't make excuses. He went on Instagram. He said it wasn't my best. I'm going to be back better. That. He manned up. So like, to me, whatever. If you're Bud Crawford, you need to be in the news because you're not fighting anybody worthwhile. Then like, I get it, but.
Okay, well,
So
go ahead, B. Yeah.
Here's what I say, Sergio. You know, I always say, like, you have to get rid of a guy when he doesn't belong in the ring with you. And one thing that Terrence Crawford does well is he shows the difference in class between the other fighters that he's fighting. Now, yeah, the downside to that is that, you know, he hasn't fought a lot of times.
Charlo's fighting way higher caliber dudes than Terrence Crawford is at this present moment in time. He is a legitimate top 10 guy right now, in my opinion. Whereas Terrence Crawford at this present moment in time, let's be very honest, he's hanging on what he did at 140. He's had some great performances, but at the end of the day, he hasn't really fought anybody in what, 4 years at minimum? Come on now.
At 154, do you pick Charlo Castaño over Crawford?
At 154? Maybe. Let me think about it. Maybe. And the reason is because I just, man, no, I probably wouldn't. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna fucking lie here. I wouldn't.
and that's the thing. Like,
but at the same token, I didn't pick him to beat Charlo. I thought Charlo was gonna wash this dude. I thought that he was gonna be able to. If anything happened, I thought it's like Charlo would end up getting him out of there. But I didn't. I knew he was tough. He showed me even more. So, do I think he can put on a performance like that on a Terrence Crawford, especially if he has a chin like what he appears to have, and he has the motor like he does? Here's the problem with that. If he goes out there with Terrence Crawford, Terrence Crawford throws more punches. He throws more volume. He throws more volume back. So I think in the way that Castaño was hurt in the second and in the 11th, was it 10th or 11th round? 10th round, right? Is it 10th he got hurt in?
Second and 10th, yeah.
Yeah, second and 10th. The way he got hurt with throwing in the midst of punches, he'd get caught with those type of punches more readily with a Terrence Crawford, if that makes sense. But, I mean, styles make fights.
Okay.
And styles make fights, and Terrence Crawford, and Charlo has fought, just talking about the last couple years, Erickson Lubin, what's his name, who beat him and he fought again and got him? Tony Harrison. You know what I'm saying? Castaño. He's fighting really, really, really good guys and beating them. You know what I'm saying? So can't take anything away from Charlo at this present moment in time. I'm gonna give him a mulligan. I don't think he fought to the best of his abilities. And at the end of the day, if he gets out there, he should win. That's what I'm gonna say. He should win. But anything else on that card, Guru, that you want to talk about? You feel good about it?
No, I mean, we could talk about this hot piece of shit, Rolly.
You could mention. Matt, go ahead and that can be your Guru's Corner. You have anything for Guru's Corner today? You want to use this for Guru's Corner?
We can do Guru's Corner later.
Okay. Well, here, let's move on to this because we're talking about somebody. We went from Charlo, somebody who owned up to it and has not made any excuses, to somebody who I can't say he's made a whole lot of excuses. I'll just say that McGregor. Conor McGregor's back in the news because ever since he lost the fight, he's put pictures out there saying that he went out there with a fractured, fractured ankle and all kinds of other things. I'm gonna ask you guys this: are you with him still, or is this now getting to the point where it's too much? Matt, I'm gonna start with you, man. What do you think?
I mean, I was never with Conor. I love Conor. I appreciate him, but I'm not like a Conor stan. So there's that. But the Conor always has excuses when he loses. That's how he's always been. And so to me, this is not any different in that pattern. I think Conor prides himself on not pulling out of fights, and so that's kind of why he rationalizes
let me ask
his
you this
choices.
real quick. Let me ask you this: do you believe him when he says that Dana White and the UFC knew that he was going in there with fractures?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. The reality is all the other pay-per-views, they stack up usually 2 title fights and then another third featured bout. And on Conor pay-per-views, because he gets so much of the points and the money, they don't put anybody else on his card. So if he can't fight, they're totally screwed. And whereas the other pay-per-views, they could shuffle it.
I feel like they can. Well, you know what? the December card I don't feel like was really that stacked. But a lot of times I feel like they always try to get a really good card around Conor McGregor, and because that's
But
there's always
no other title fights. There's never any other title fights or
because he's
big
gonna be
money.
a title fight, and you can't have a title fight under a regular fight especially if he's not for a belt usually.
Right. So I think I would imagine that the UFC probably knew and they made that gamble ultimately.
I can see.
My question for you guys is who's got the crazier excuses? Is it Conor McGregor or Deontay Wilder?
Yeah,
Doc, you took my question. You took it right from me, man. I was thinking the same thing. It's getting in the same boat. I'll tell you that much. They're paddling from the same type of place at this point in time for me. Because here, B, let me know how you feel because I have my own feelings about what Conor is saying at this moment in time.
I mean, coming into the fight with an existing injury is a feasible excuse. Like people make that type of excuse.
But everybody does.
Not say it's warranted, but people make those type of excuses all the time. When you are accusing your head trainer or your assistant trainer of spiking your water and your suit to go to the ring was too heavy. Those are not everyday excuses, nigga. You don't hear that every day. You just don't see that every day, guys. You don't see. So I mean, I understand while these excuses are a little bit more extravagant. However, kind of excuses. Do I believe him? Shit, probably. Do I give a fuck? No. Did the UFC? No. Yes, probably. I'd say they probably did.
The excuses are for the casuals, sir. They're for the casuals. The Diazes, the McGregors, those guys. It doesn't matter whether they win or lose. They're going to show up. They're going to promote the hell out of the fight. Win. They're going to fight hard ultimately, and win, lose or draw. Like it helps the fans rationalize. Oh, I paid for this thing and he got hurt, or I paid for this thing and he didn't win. But that just helps. I think it does for the casuals.
What?
Let me say this though, because in this way before I forget about it, and this is my only thing with Conor, right? Because he got them pictures and all this other shit already. Like that shit was on deck, right? Is it just me? Or does it feel nasty? Didn't it feel like it was just nasty? Like you had just this built-in excuse, like yo, just in case I'm gonna drop these. I'm gonna drop these just in case anything happens or goes wrong. I hate that, man, and I hate that. It is getting to the point that it feels like this is like excuse after excuse after excuse. And also, here's the thing: if you were injured and you knew it, why are you going to go out there and utilize that leg as carelessly as you did? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why were you training without shin pads on? Why were you doing all these things if you knew you had an injury on there? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why somebody would go out there and do that and just be that careless. I think if you fight with that mindset of I can't use this thing, then you're defeating yourself from the beginning. So I think you have to go, if you know you're injured, you have to go out with reckless abandon, understanding that it may break, and hopefully it doesn't. But you can't really limit your game in that way, especially if you're Conor McGregor and you're already giving up the ground game. Overall, right? So how else was he going to win that fight other than on the feet? No, he
wasn't.
He wasn't going to win. I didn't think he was going to win that fight at all.
Has Conor McGregor ever won by submission?
No.
Not that I can tell you, but I don't think so.
Remember, he doesn't count submissions. 19-0, only count knockouts,
right.
baby.
Knockouts only.
Only count knockouts, baby.
But I think the thing with Conor that I recognize in the lead up to the fight, and like his jokes weren't funny anymore. And I think and I don't think this necessarily has to do with the money, like B talked about. I think it has to do with the mindset of getting up to the top and then defending the top. And when you're at the top, people in the comments spicy. I think when you're at the top like that, it's really hard to defend that. And when you're on the way up, you have this goal of getting up the mountain. And then when you're at the top of the mountain, it's different. And so being at that peak and trying to get that same motivation, like he has to go to a really dark place to get there, right? And that's why you see him saying stuff like, I'm gonna kill you or whatever. And like his jabs in the press conferences aren't funny. They're not funny anymore, right? Because like he's not coming from this like playful, I'm gonna steal what you have. He's like has to go really bad. He has to go really dark in order to get to where he needs to be to even perform.
Seriously, no, it's true.
What was that?
Wait, it's real. He said, "What'd you say, B?"
I said, "Damn, Dr. Phil."
Yeah, he broke it down for him. But look, I
agree.
Go ahead.
No, I just said I agree.
No, I hear you. But here, okay, let's talk about somebody else that same side of the pond. People are starting to get worried about him. Transition, go back to the boxing again a little bit. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, it is rescheduled. Now, here's the thing. People are worried about Tyson Fury. Says he might be kicking it a little bit again. Might not be as focused as he once was. Are you worried about Tyson Fury going into the rematch with Deontay Wilder, especially now that the fight was pushed back? B, I'm going to hit it with your guru. What's up?
At this point in time, Tyson Fury has been a terrible heavyweight champion. Terrible. He's had the title twice now. Not once has he ever made a single title defense. You know, he wanted to throw out that lineal championship so much, but he has never ever made a single title defense. You know, he was supposed to run it back with Klitschko. He tested positive for something. The rematch got called off, and then he went through everything. Now, you know, the issue was he tested positive for COVID. You know, Bob Arum had come out and said that he was fully vaccinated, but then he caught COVID. Then a few days later, he was COVID. Now he's COVID negative. People are taking pictures out with Tyson Fury that are circulating on Twitter. Did he ever really have COVID? Was he scared of Deontay Wilder? I mean, you have all of these rumors swirling around. If you want to stay sane, you can't buy into it too much. But given that we do have precedent here, we do have a precedent for Tyson Fury pulling out of rematches. It is something a bit scary. However, I expect / hope / want for, I guess, October 9th to go off without a hitch. But we'll see. But there is precedent for this behavior with Tyson Fury, and it does not look good.
It does not look good, Matt. You had any thoughts on this one, bro?
I mean, I just think it's hilarious that this is the fight that won't die and won't happen, right? Because like we've been talking about this for how long, and
you're right,
it just won't go away. And like, I feel like this is boxing's version of Khabib Tony.
Oh man!
Every time that it gets scheduled, some crazy calamity happens, and it keeps getting pushed back and canceled, and then rescheduled and canceled. And every time there's a new excuse from the different sides, and it's really comedic. Ultimately, I hope it happens. I was super excited for it to happen this month, and then I heard that like the whole thing about obviously you can still get COVID if you have the vaccine, but it's just not as bad. But at the same time, it's like all these guys who get COVID, I'm like, what precautions are you taking to protect yourself, or do you just not care? Like,
yo, do you guys follow? I know you guys follow Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury got his first shot. He didn't get his second shot, and Bob Arum,
because in England they don't.
Allegedly, Bob Arum was under the assumption that he had taken the Johnson & Johnson shot, so it was only one dose.
Got it. That makes sense. Oh, I mean, and the Delta variant is super. Contagious? You know what I mean? So right now, like if you're out and about and not and acting crazy, it's definitely plausible. But I just want them to fight and get it over with, so we can see Joshua Fury. Because I mean, that's what we're here for.
He said he's gonna watch them and keep it moving.
Here's the last thing I have.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that. I think that. Wilder always has the puncher's chance. I think Fury's the better boxer, and I think 90 times out of 100, Fury beats him. And I think there's about 10 times out of those 100 where Wilder catches him. Let's see which one we get. That's the intrigue, right?
I think if the press conference was going to be round one, I think Fury took a clear win on that just because Deontay Wilder didn't want to speak up. However, if this fight cancellation you consider a round two, I'm going to give that to Deontay Wilder. So hopefully we'll see round three play out in the ring.
I couldn't agree more. I know. I'm with you guys. Let's keep it with I am a little worried, concerned for Fury. I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's been kicking it physically. He's never looked amazing. Chunky. Yeah, it never looked amazing, but he looks a little worse than he normally does right now. So it looks like he's been enjoying life. Good for him. I'm not hating on him, but I hope he's getting it back together. So I am concerned for him in a way, specifically because, like you said, he has been missing and he's, reschedules and shit. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think paying too close attention to Tyson Fury's physique is healthy for any of us.
No, at all, not at all. And I try not to do it. Believe me. Let's keep it with the heavyweight division. Yo, Joshua versus Usyk. Real quick, and then we're going to transition from this to some different type of boxing. But let's talk about Fury versus, or should I say, Joshua Usyk has been. Is it in the works or is announced?
No, this is here. It is here.
It's here.
That is the September 25th. Wait, maybe it's the week after Canelo Alvarez. So yeah, Canelo Alvarez on the 18th. He goes on the 25th. Great 2 weeks.
Right.
Off.
So, what are your guys' expectations of this fight? This is the first time we're going to be able to see Usyk actually fighting a legit heavyweight. This is it. This is the fight we've been waiting for. Another gold medalist.
This is a big fight. This is an extremely, extremely competitive fight. And if you're not a boxing fan, then you're not going to see it coming. Hey, who's this guy? Usyk? Well, he's the former cruiserweight undisputed champion. He's undefeated. He trains over Anatoly Lomachenko as well, Lomachenko's dad. He trains and fights in that similar style as well. Now, he hasn't been too impressive since he's gotten a heavyweight, but he also hasn't lost. And Joshua can get inside and land some huge uppercuts and some hooks, but Usyk can use his feet all night, and he can stay at range, and he can get in and out very strategically. So it's going to come down to how much does size matter. Is Joshua's size just going to be too much for Usyk? I don't know. We can break it down a little bit closer to the fight. However, I can tell you this is not a walkover fight. It's an extremely, extremely competitive fight. Usyk has definitely earned this fight. And oh man, it can't come fast enough because honestly
he's a live dog. For those who do not know Usyk, he's absolutely a live fucking dog. He can absolutely win this fight. And with his speed, his punching power, if you guys have never watched him, go back and watch Usyk versus Tony Bellew. That's such a great fight to watch if you want to see his style and what he can actually bring to the table and how sneaky his power can just sneak up on you. So amazing fight. That's actually the fight that put Tony Bellew into retirement, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So, but check him out. But I'm sorry, what were you about to say, bro?
Totally.
Any of y'all? Yeah. No. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be a good fight. I remember getting the nod to watch Usyk from you guys, and he's real. He's really real. And I think, as a casual, I think there's still something in the back of Joshua's head that is not fully there. And that's why I was really excited about the Fury matchup. But I think Usyk is going to really push him to the limits, and we'll really see what Joshua's made of, like mentally.
Honestly, I won't believe it till it's actually here. But I mean, this is just good for boxing because literally since Joshua last fought, the heavyweight division has just been on pause. And I mean, that was just
this Wilder Fury situation.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
It's important for
there's
boxing
no
to get the
movement.
heavyweight division back moving again.
Absolutely. No, we need it, man. We need it to happen. But a lot of stuff's going to happen. We're going to get this Usyk Joshua fight, which is going to be incredible. It's a necessary fight. I'm surprised it's happening now. But so kudos to Joshua for even taking this fight. And let's talk about this real quick. Okay. Let's talk about this. There are some more boxing we need to talk about real quick. Anderson Silva might be boxing once again. It sounds like he might be boxing Logan Paul. Yo.
Woo, your boy's gonna get washed.
Which one?
Logan Paul, bro. Anderson Silva is no joke. When I heard about this, the first time I heard about this was right before the show, and if this is somebody who's the same weight as him, or at least way closer in weight to him, and somebody who just, I mean, granted, like Chavez Jr., from what you guys have, it's been detailed on this show, his history. But to beat that guy, and then to come in again, like with his MMA background, just watching him box against somebody who's really an amateur boxer, I think that Logan Paul is going to get washed. But I don't care how old Anderson Silva is.
I think this fight has a lot of entertainment value. Like, it looks
So
really
much
good on
entertainment
paper.
value.
Is there
it
any way
does.
that Logan Paul wins this fight? Absolutely not. Logan Paul isn't even Jake Paul. He's 0-2 in the boxing ring.
No.
Right.
So he has no rings compared to Anderson Silva, who at least won his exhibition against a former champion. Not to say, he was washed and everything, but Anderson Silva is going to take it a little bit more seriously. Logan Paul hasn't done anything even remotely close to impressive in the boxing ring. He's not even knocking out Nate Robinson's. He's not knocking out KSI's. So, yes, Logan Paul's in trouble, but from an entertainment standpoint, if you like these type of things, this is what you're going to want to watch.
Yo, I'm not going to lie. The Paul brothers, congratulations, gentlemen. You got me, okay? Let's fucking go, all right? Let's go. From fighter pay to entertainment value, these two promoted cannot fucking miss. They can't miss right now. That fight makes all the sense in the world. It makes so much money when you think about it. How much that fight can possibly make in the future is incredible. So it makes sense. That's a fight that I would love to see. Don't give me any exhibition. It needs to be a real fight. Make it a real fight. If it's a real fight, I'm here for it. Let's go.
Can Silva finish him?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
One round.
Oh, Silva would probably finish him within 4. If he's not dicking around, I think it would
be later. But
if he's not,
he'll be tired,
dude. Anderson might take a knee hard, bro, and that's what I'm saying. If Anderson's dicking around because he doesn't view Logan as a threat, then it's going to a decision, right? And it might end up being wildly boring. But if they're actually going in there to actually like hurt each other, Anderson Silva it's going to be fun as hell to watch. I can't lie.
He gonna put himself in line for that Jake Paul bag.
Hold on for a second. What do you guys think about this?
I don't know about the KSI. I watched that like on streaming a long time ago, but
Katina Hart can't thank you for your comments. I appreciate you.
He did not beat Floyd. He got exhausted and held on for dear life.
He got carried against Floyd. Floyd carried his ass.
He lost to Floyd. I mean, then
he
lost to KSI. I mean, robbery. Maybe it was a close fight from what I've seen, and I probably
it was a close fight.
But like
it was definitely a close fight.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
I had him winning
anything on Floyd.
The Floyd fight, it wasn't even close. That's not even a fight. Nah, hell no.
Speaking of the Paul brothers, I have a well-placed source in the Jake Paul camp, and I've heard that Jake Paul is going to knock out Tyron Woodley in round 3. That's what they told me.
Really? So they're saying that's when they're trying to not take his head off. 3rd round, there we go.
3rd round knockout, and that Jake Paul's looking sharp. So take that for what it may, but I think that fight's going to be closer than we want it to be.
I told you, I somehow Jake Paul has gotten me over there. He's got me over there. He
got the Jake Paul foam finger over here.
Dog, I'm telling you, man, I think it's gonna be a really entertaining, interesting fight. I can't call it at this moment in time. Obviously, I make a prediction before the fight, but ooh, man, like I think it's gonna be a legit fight. I think they're gonna go out there because I think Jake has some hands, man. I think Jake could actually scrap. But I'm curious to see what Jake is going to look like with an actual athlete in front of him. Okay, I don't care if he's a little long in the tooth in MMA. He can still lay bricks. That doesn't go away. His activity level concerns me, obviously.
Is he going to be able to pull the trigger? That's exactly the same problem in the UFC.
Yeah, so that's my concern, right? But as we saw against Vicente Luque, albeit he got cracked in that fight, he has it in him. He can go forward. I don't think Jake Paul hits as hard as Vicente Luque, but I could be wrong. He's a fucking huge kid. You know what I'm saying? So
what's for you? What's a winning game plan for Tyron Woodley? Don't mean to put you on the spot.
I mean, he's gonna have to keep his activity level up. Realistically, he's gonna have to make sure he utilizes his jab. He's gonna have to make sure, because Jake Paul throws big punches. He throws some looping punches. He'll come forward and even kind of be off balance when he throws them at times. So he'll have to be. I think if he keeps Jake on the back foot with his jab, with his power, kind of walks him down, I think it can put Jake in some situations that he's not accustomed to, and you won't feel good in being. If Woodley, being the shorter man, should I say, not necessarily the smaller man, the shorter man, if he can get on the inside and utilize his big power to the body, I don't know if Jake's gonna like that either. So those are, I think, a couple things that he can do. I think he needs to come downhill. I think he needs to not get pushed back. If he gets pushed back and allows Jake to beat him in the corner and just beat on him, he's not going to win that way. He needs to keep his back against he needs to keep his back off the ropes. He needs to make sure he controls the center, and he needs to make sure he's walking downhill. That's what I think.
Serge, that was the same thing that we were saying for Tyron to do in the UFC, and he wasn't able to do it. And then he overcorrected.
There was no takedown. So I mean,
no, but I mean, he overcorrected so much in the Luque fight that he left himself out to get punched. So my concern is that Tyron's a counter puncher, and I think that the Jake Paul camp is extremely clever and thoughtful about the opponents that they pick. And I think that they picked Tyron because he's a counter puncher, and they think that he's going to back up and not be able to exploit the inefficiencies in Jake Paul's game. And that's my concern too. If Tyron's backing up, then it could be a long night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or a short night.
Well, either way, guaranteed. I think he wins by, like you said, keeping Jake Paul back. Lots of jabs. I think he can hit him with a lot of uppercuts when Jake Paul does those diving kind of unorthodox moving forwards. Like, he leaves himself open. But I think we're counting on a version of Tyron Woodley that I'm not sure is going to be there on that night.
I know. I'm concerned for it. But it's a fight that I am actually honestly looking forward to, and when it gets here, we'll absolutely talk about it. I'm sure we'll have a whole show bringing hella people on to talk about that as well. All right, gentlemen. Anything else we got to talk about? I know we had. I think that's kind of everything we ended up having. Canelo Plant deal is close, but really quick, Guru, do you want to go through a really quick Guru's Corner before we get up out of here?
Quick Guru's Corner. I don't think Rolando Romero is great. He goes by Rolly. He fought in the undercard of the Charlo COSTANO fight. He got a 7th or 8th round knockout, 7th round knockout against Anthony Yiggett, who came in 5 pounds overweight. Calls out the big guns in Gervonta Davis. I mean, if you watch him fight, got a little power, but his footwork is absolutely terrible, and any of the top guys in the division would absolutely dispose of him. He got exposed by Jackson Martinez, who then goes in there and gets knocked out by Richard Comey. So I don't think he has a place at the top of the division. I don't think he has a place in the ring with any of the top guys. However, I do expect PBC to run up his record a little bit so they can at least use him for maybe an opponent when Tank needs Tank maybe takes an L or something and needs a comeback fight. They'll keep him in the pocket for something like that, and I think they'll protect him so he's good for opportunities like that. But he does not have a place as a belt holder in this or really any division in boxing. His footwork is just so bad. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to close the gap that he needs to close in order to be an elite level boxer.
That's it, man. I hear you. And you know what? Also, for just some reason, I want to give a shout out to Gabe Rosado because he's fucking dope.
Did he do some other shit recently?
No, he's just dope.
I mean, he probably going to get that fight against Jaime Munguia. That's going to be dope. That's going to be real dope.
Nah, I'm telling you, he's dope. And I can't wait. Everything he's getting, he deserves, man. But gentlemen, I appreciate you guys, as always, for joining us on the show. Maddie, thank you for joining us, man. First time on, man, over there from Hawaii, man. I appreciate you. Real quick, before we get you out of here, I got to ask you, TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen this weekend. What are your thoughts on that fight? Who do you think wins?
I think Sandhagen wins. I think he's got more tools, and he's not suffering from a 2-year layoff.
True.
which I think he's just been sharper. He's been really good, and with the exception of that Aljo fight, he's been really killer. So I'm looking forward to seeing him take the win, and then move into that title picture. I just wanted to say thanks for having me on, man. Congrats on 300 episodes, and like so much, there's no other show in this space that does what you do, and it's the culture, it's the having the black and brown perspective in MMA. You don't see it anywhere else in this format. So I'm really grateful to be on. Thanks for having me, and I'm really grateful for what you're doing. Keep it up, and let's go kill another 300 episodes, man.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, look, dude, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I whenever you want to come on, dude, you have an open invite. I'm so happy to have you on, man. Thank you, like I said, for supporting the show and everything. And B, my brother, always a pleasure, Guru.
I love to do it every single week. I'm sure we got some big fights coming up to talk about, but always
Pacquiao Spence. That one's in August, right?
August 21st.
I cannot wait for that one. Oh, real quick, I will say this about the because I have not made my pick for the Sandhagen fight yet. The Sandhagen-Dillashaw fight. I cannot wait for this fight. It is such a good fight. They trained together back in the day. It is two dudes that I think would have eventually met at some point in time. TJ Dillashaw never lost the belt. I've gone back and forth with this one, but I think it goes one of two ways, right? Either Corey Sandhagen gets him out of there early, but if it gets past the second round, I think all of that ring rust would get knocked off of TJ, and TJ is going to start cooking. I think he's going to start utilizing his wrestling, only because Corey Sandhagen has been taken down in every single fight. Only fight he's never been taken down in is the fight that he had against Frankie Edgar, and that's because he knocked his ass out in 30 seconds. So it's like when I think about that, I go with TJ with maybe a dominant decision. And if he does get that, he'll end up, whoever wins, I think gets a title shot. And that thing is deserving. That'd be the shit.
Is TJ going to have the same gas tank without EPO? That's the question.
I'll be very honest with you. I really believe he did it just for that one fight. I think he was
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe there's no way. There's no way in hell he did.
I'm just saying, I understand, and I understand the pushback for it, and I totally get it. And I've gone back and forth between this. And there was points in time where I was like, no, fuck it. He did it. I'm sure he's done it time and time again. But maybe I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
But how is his gas tank going to hold up? That's my question.
I think his gas tank holds up because he's always been somebody who's always been in shape. From the days he was in the Ultimate Fighter till when he was champ. He always had a gas tank. I'm not really worried about his gas tank. I'm worried about his sharpness. That's what I'm worried about. Because I think that I think the stand-up, I think I'll give the edge to Corey Sandhagen. I think the grappling I give, the grappling and the IQ and the experience I give to TJ. So it's just like, ooh, it's so close. It's so close, dude. I love this fucking fight, man. It's just, I love this shit, man. So many good fights coming up. But gentlemen, appreciate y'all, man. This has been episode 303 of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. Check us out everywhere podcasting is available. See y'all. I'm Serg Vicente. I'm all over the place tonight. I'm over here trying to do too many things. Gentlemen, appreciate y'all. Everybody listening, love y'all. See y'all next time.